Okay, this is my review of Irish Wish. Okay, so Irish Wish is a 2024 romantic comedy starring Lindsay Lohan, Ed Spears, Alexander Vladiros, Elizabeth Tan, and of course, Jane Seymour. So what's the movie about? Well, okay, before I do this review, there is spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, scroll. If you haven't seen the movie yet, scroll up. If you have seen the movie, then feel free to stick around for this review. Okay, so this movie is about this girl called Maddie Kelly, Lindsay Lohan, and she's working for this guy called Paul Kennedy, played by Alexander Vladislav, I think that's his name, and she, of course, is madly in love with him. But of course, she is devastated when he actually proposes to her best friend Emma, played by Elizabeth Tan, and after a whirlwind romance, and they decide to get married in, you guess it, Ireland. So Maddie, of course, is stuck in Knock Airport after a bag mix up, and she meets this guy called James, played by Ed Spears, with his actual accent, so he hasn't got a phony accent, nothing in this movie. And the two of them are kind of, they kind of hit it off. And she actually asks him, "Oh, did you read the? Do you read the book Paul Kennedy?" And he's like, "Nah, not really. I'm not really into his stuff." So of course, she ends up anyway arriving at the castle anyway where the wedding's going to take place. And one day anyway, her and her friend, and of course Paul, they decide to go off um on a boat, and said to her, "Oh, do you want to go on a boat?" And she's like, "No, it's fine. You can go on ahead." So of course she is devastated that she isn't the one marrying Paul. And one day she goes into this place. It's like a stone. I know what the name of the stone is. It's not Blarney Stone. I know what the name of the stone is. And of course she's there wishing that she's the one to marry Paul. Out of nowhere, there's a strange woman with an Irish accent called Saint Bridget, after the Saint Bridget, and she says to her in this really bad Irish accent. I don't know if she actually Irish enough. She says to her, "Oh, do you want to make a wish? Oh, you sure want to make a wish?" And she's like, "Oh no, thanks. I just wanna." She'll be like an earthquake or a lightning. So she goes, "Oh, do you want that? So I'll do it so for you." And she does this thing. And she's like, "What is going on?" And when she does that, she ends up in bed with Paul beside her. No, she actually goes into the shower and she sees Paul and she's like, "Oh my god, I'm sorry." He goes, "Oh, it's alright." She goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry, oh my god." And then she has no idea that she's the one that's getting married. And of course, she realizes that she is actually now the fiance of Paul. And she's like, "This is great. I am so lucky. I'm going to marry Paul Kennedy. This is what I always wanted." But of course, problems arise when she meets James again um, in the city. And after she goes into his car by flipping over into his car after leaving the wedding shop. And of course, Paul's mother's like, "Oh, you're a photographer," and he's like, "Yeah, I am, but I'm not really into weddings." And she's like, "Oh, you be the perfect photographer." So, and he's like, "Okay." And of course, as the two of them spend more time together, they actually fall in love with one another. So James falls in love with Maddie, and Maddie begins to have feelings for James. And then she realizes that what she wished for wasn't what she wanted at all, because she realizes that Paul is in love with Emma, because Emma is actually in love with Paul, and she's devastated Emma that she's not the one marrying Paul. When in the other reality, she is the one marrying Paul. And of course, Maddie knows that she's in love with Paul, and Maddie realizes that Paul isn't for her at all. So of course she's there. Of course, Maddie ringing up her mum constantly, played by Jane Seymour, who is totally wasting this movie. She's not in any scene with Lindsay at all, only on the phone all the time going, "Oh, sorry, darling, but I'm actually busy at the moment. Oh, I don't know actually where it is, blah, 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 blah." And she's like, "Oh, you're coming to my wedding?" She goes, "Oh, sorry, darling, I can't." That's all she says in the movie. So, of course, Maddie, like I said, um, she meets James again, and she kind of wants to know, does James have feelings for her? And of course, during the wedding, like the wedding eve, like I said, Maddie actually spots Emma with Paul, and she's like, oh, that's it then. And then she realizes she's in love with James because there's one scene where the two of them are stranded, just like in 27 Dresses. And they're dancing and they're having a ball, and he's showing her how to play darts and everything. And then he brings to the cliffs of Moher, and she's like, oh, I love to get married here. And he's like, oh yeah, maybe I will get married in Cliffs of Moher someday. And she's like, yeah, I love to get married in Cliffs of Moher someday. Sorry, my dog. So anyway, long story short, she of course does admit her feelings to James, and James of course says, yeah, I'm sorry Maddie, I can't do this. And of course Maddie is absolutely devastated. She meets St. Bridget again, and she says, St. Bridget, take back the wish, I don't want it anymore. This is what I wanted. She goes, oh, is this now? Is this what you really wanted? Come on, I really want this wish. She goes, okay, take back the wish, take back the wish, take back the wish. Next thing you know, the spell is undone. The spell's undone. And she's now back, being her normal self, being the bridesmaid for her friend Emma's wedding. And then Paul was saying to her, oh, I'm going to my honeymoon, and I want you to be my editor. And she's like, okay, so let me get this straight. I'm not going to be your co-writer. She's like, oh no, it's all my stuff, because he literally stole all of Maddie's work. And that's why James didn't like Paul Kennedy's book, because he realised that Maddie was the writer all along, and he is actually pretending to be the author, when in actual fact he's only using her for his job, and that was it. Like, he was an actual jerk to her all along, and she realised that. So anyway, in the end, anyway, she actually does meet James again in the actual reality, and she's like, oh yeah, I'd love to go to Cliffs of Moher sometime, and they're talking to him on the bench, and then they actually go to Cliffs of Moher in the end, talking about, oh, do you know, oh, you're good at dancing and all that stuff. That's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. What I think of this movie? This movie is very average, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it tries so hard to be like Leap Year meets 27 Dresses with a twist, My Best Friend's Wedding. So if you love Leap Year, My Best Friend's Wedding, and 27 Dresses, with a hint of Just My Luck, then you'll love this movie. The acting for the most part is actually good. I mean, Lindsay Lohan, I've always been a massive fan of her since I was a kid. I think she's actually a good actress. She's very good in The Parent Trap as Hallie and Annie. Her chemistry with Ed Spears was good. You know, it's kind of up there with Amy Adams and Matthew Good for me. It's kind of, yeah. There's also a cameo by Dakota Lohan, who's actually Lindsay Lohan's brother. He's actually Paul Kennedy's brother's best friend that plays rugby, apparently. But I think the one actress that was totally wasted in this film, like I said, was Jane Seymour. I mean, y'all know Jane Seymour. She's in that movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve, and she was very good in that film as Eloise McKenna. In this film, all she does, like I said, is go on her phone, yappity yappity yap, and here's your one going, oh, when are you coming? Oh, and of course, say Bridget comes along and trips her and makes a cock of everything. And yeah, the cinematography though is very, very good. It's up there at Leap Year. It's got really nice scenery since I'm from Ireland, of course. But yeah, and actually, but yeah, this is coming from an Irish woman. What you see in a movie is not what you see in Ireland, because it rains all the time, it's windy all the time, it's not even colourful like what you see in movies. It's just pure bland, Ireland is. But in the movies, they make it look like it's the most magical place, and all the Americans are like, oh my god, we're so going to Ireland, and I'm like just going, yeah, it's not like that in real life, I'm sorry. Oh my god. But the good thing though is about this movie is the fact that Ed Spears didn't have to have an Irish accent, because in Leap Year, Matthew Good had to use an Irish accent, and by God, that was god awful altogether. But Ed Spears actually had to keep his English accent, which is a good one. But yeah, but I kind of knew though going into this movie, the minute I seen her first love interest, Paul Kennedy, the minute I saw him, here's me going, yeah, this guy is a total jerk. why are you so in love with the guy that's a total jerk? You have nothing in common with him. Because in the movie, near the finale of the movie, they're having this quiz thing going, oh, how well do you know your partner? And they're saying to Matthew's character, what's his favourite author? Or what's your favourite author? What's your favourite place in the world? Do you like to dance? And she, of course, knew none of it. Like, he knew none of it. She knew none of it. And James was like, I thought your favourite author was a possum. She's like, oh yeah, anyone can make mistakes. Charles Dickens is my favourite too. And she's like, no, you're so married. This guy's so not right for you. But anyway, again, I give this movie, as a whole, the scenery is 3 out of 5. The movie itself is 2 out of 5. It's an okay movie. If you're a fan of Lindsay Lohan, like I said, watch it. If not, avoid and watch Leap Year instead. So yeah, that's my review, my spoiler review of Irish Wish. Haven't seen it yet. Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, take care.